coming up on this episode of Ridiculistics.
Maybe it's an opposite thing where you don't rest on your hearty. You rest on your laurels, but you get going on your hearties.
1, 2, 3.
Figures of speech, do they ever confuse you?
For example,
if you can let the cat out of the bag, why can't you keep it in there too? But Joe and Tim explain it all, off the rails and off the wall. It's ridiculous linguistics. It's the Ridiculistics podcast.
Welcome everybody to episode 3.
Welcome, everyone, to oh, but that's going to be a thing that you say at the end.
We really want to welcome them in. They're really welcome here.
You're going to be so much more welcomed at the end of the next paragraph.
It's more than warm. It's a hot welcome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ridiculistics. I'm Tim.
And I'm Joe.
And here on Ridiculistics, as you might be starting to get if you're now a regular listener, Joe and I talk about language, and specifically we talk about idioms, which are sayings that are derived from literal language, but put into another context to mean something else, like let the cat out of the bag, for example. Where did that come from and when? And how did it come to mean what it means today? That is Ridiculistics.
Speaking of letting the cat out of the bag, we're about to. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah. It's the Ridiculistics theme.
Is that going to happen a lot?
Maybe.
That was something. Let's hear it again. You know, they make up, 90% of the internet?
Cats?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And rightfully so. I'll give you a good example. When I first started on TikTok? I think it was TikTok. All I got was just dudes getting into fights. I couldn't change it until I started following cats. I didn't even get sort of a transitional thing where I got sent cat fights. And so then I just went cat, follow.
It's the safest thing you can do, really. I mean, because cats never hurt anybody, right?
I think there's been documented cases where cats have actually hurt people. But
yeah, Sigmund and Freud.
With that in mind, the cat topic is a bit of a teaser for what's going to come in this episode.
I actually have another one that I want to talk about first.
First idiom, let's do it.
The idiom that we're going to talk about, I don't really use it because I'm not really sure how to use it.
Yeah.
It is canary in a coal mine.
Yeah. I've had the same thing where I'm like, I think I know this, I should know this, but I don't know it well enough to use it.
Yeah. What it is an early warning signal of danger or failure. You kind of need to know the origin for this really to make sense. It comes from the early 20th century, a practice in Britain, in the U.S. too, but just a little bit later. And canaries were placed in a coal mine with the workers. And when the canary stopped singing or stopped making noises, it was a warning that the carbon monoxide and methane and all those things, the levels of stuff was getting so that people wouldn't be able to survive. Canaries are very, very sensitive to those things. Their high metabolism and respiratory rate made them react faster to dangerous gas levels. And something's up when it stops singing and tweeting. The canary didn't always die. It just stopped singing. So, which is, I thought that was kind of cool because it's like, oh, it's not when a canary dies, which I thought was part of this whole thing.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, well, that's just a canary in a coal mine. That's dead, you know?
Yeah. That's deader than a doornail.
The doornail thing again.
Can I ask a question at this point? Did they give them tiny helmets?
I hope so.
Because that, and then two, yeah, right. It could have just been I'm tired of singing that song. That's a stupid song. I need a rest.
I wonder how many false positives they got from the Canaries. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, my vocal cords are shot. It has nothing to do with...
Yeah, I've been singing all day.
Can I just take a quick 10?
Yeah. I wonder if they had shifts, or they had more than one canary, and when they all stopped singing, then that was really bad. But, I mean, just depending on one, that seems like, you're putting too much on that bird.
Oh, my God. He's the one. He has to do it every day?
Yeah, really. I mean,
Same.
come on. What are we paying that bird? Nothing.
Canaries as coal miners is very funny. Canaries swinging a pickaxe or something. Well, also singing.
Yep. I've been working in the coal mine. The guy who first did this was named John Scott Haldane, and he was a Scottish physiologist. He researched gas and poisoning and all that stuff. So it led to him figuring out somehow that canaries would be a good warning for this. Guess when they stopped using canaries in coal mines?
1950s.
The 80s. That was when
Wow.
it was replaced by electronic detectors, sensors, some sort. But 1986 is when the UK stopped using canaries in coal mines.
Wow. Had they come up with digital canaries? From what I know about, obviously everybody knows this, but the coal mining industry is not known for being particularly employee friendly. Like, were they that concerned? Maybe they let it go till 1986 because it was only so successful. You know what I mean? Once you start getting into like real ways to measure things, then maybe you become more responsible for the coal miners who are in there, who under normal circumstances, you'd be like, what does the canary know? You guys should stay in there.
Right. Again, with just one canary, you're putting a lot of pressure on that bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Al Gore described the Arctic as a canary in the coal mine for climate change.
Oh, for sure. If you heard that and that's all you heard of canary in a coal mine, you'd probably get it. That is very clear.
Yeah, yeah. And I hadn't heard that use until I did this research. And similar idioms, this is always a way that you can kind of see what something means because it odds are you use one of these things. And so like writing on the wall is another one. Red flag, harbinger,
Oh, yeah. I love a harbinger.
bellwether. Have
Yeah.
you heard of that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I wonder if there's other places that canaries could, be of use.
Oh, yeah.
A canary in a, gymnasium.
Why don't you put the canary in the Arctic, Al Gore?
I don't know if you believe this, but like animals and things that make sound other than humans, are they talking in their own language? Because that canary could be singing for a long time, and in his mind, he's saying, "There's too many people in here. Get out!" And they're like, "Oh, he's still singing. We're good."
I mean, if he really wanted to, yeah, he'd never start singing to begin with. He'd just be like, this is too much. We can't even go in there.
And then all the people are like, "We got a dud. We got to send this guy back. This canary doesn't work."
What is this canary, a mime?
Mime canary.
Oh, canary in a coal mine.
Oh, there it is. I think I'm free to use it now. I think I understand it and where it came from even too. I knew it had something to do with this, but I really find some solace in the whole, like, a canary doesn't die.
Yo, yeah. Yeah. I mean, not like they would care. They don't care about the lives of the miners, much less the canary. I just see the canary like stumbling out of the mine, just going like,
Don't go down there. Are we ready to let the cat out of the bag?
let the cat out of the bag is as in reveal, to make known as a previously kept secret. So you're letting the cat out of the bag is akin to spilling the beans, or maybe in a more contemporary parlance, spoiler alert, right? That could be letting the cat out of the bag.
Oh, yeah.
First, I'm going to tell you what it probably isn't, even though it is also interesting. There's I want to say a field of study, which there isn't, because that's what I got my degree in, linguistic etymology with a focus on letting the cat out of the bag. But this is off of Wiki, and I found it in a couple other places, which is that letting the cat out of the bag, one suggestion is that the phrase refers to the whip-like cat o' nine tails, an instrument of punishment once used on Royal Navy vessels. The instrument was purportedly stored in a red sack and a sailor who revealed the transgressions of another would be letting the cat out of the bag. And so then the other guy would get a beating or a vicious whipping. When I read that and it said cat o' nine tails, my first thought was, okay, what is that? I know what that is. That's the thing that you find in like swamps that like swings back and forth. It's like a reed in the wind kind of thing. And then at the top of it, it has that little thing that looks like a corn dog.
Yeah, corn dog plants.
So in my mind, I went, oh, okay, that thing makes sense that you would flog somebody with that corn dog. Like that would hurt.
Flogging with a corn dog.
And also, how inventive. Hey, look, there's some of those corn dog plants. Let's use them as whips. Turns out it's not that at all. That's a cattail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are the things you get stuck in your socks when you go camping?
Those are pine needles. Cat o' nine tails is completely unrelated to cattails. Basically, it's a whip. The naval cat weighed about 370 grams, which is 13 ounces. I just did that math really quickly in my head. And was composed of a handle connected to 9 thinner pieces of line, with each line knotted several times along its length. So it's knotted to really like impact and like take chunks of skin out and stuff.
Sure. How long are the tails?
9.
They're 9 long and there's 9 of them?
Let's say yes. 9 in every direction is the answer for whatever question that you have coming up next.
That's great.
Formal floggings, those ordered by a captain or court-martial, were administered ceremonially on the deck, the crew being summoned to witness punishment, and the prisoner being brought forward by Marines with fixed bayonets. That's harsh, man.
Yeah, where did this take place?
On a boat, like the Navy ship. This is for somebody who was like, one of the examples was like, this seems harsh too. Drunkenness.
Well,
like
this is like you're supposed to be on duty or something, right? This is like in the Navy.
You can sail the 7 seas.
In the Navy.
You can put your mind at ease. Which is the opposite of being flogged. So that whole idea that the letting the cat out of the bag feels like, okay, I can see it, but then every other source suggested that it was not that. They suggested that letting the cat out of the bag was a phrase that originated in the 15th century from livestock fraud at village markets. Merchants would sometimes sell customers live piglets, and then when the customer wasn't looking, they would. This is like I picture Indiana Jones with the artifact and then the bag of sand.
Yeah.
But they would then take a cat, switch out the piglet with a cat, hand the customer back the bag, and then go, okay, there's your piglet. See you later. Then the customer would get home. They would open it up looking for a piglet. Out of the bag would come a cat, and they'd be like, oh.
Wow.
At that point, the truth is revealed, right? The truth that you had been hornswoggled. You'd been bamboozled.
All those things, yeah. Did this happen in Springfield, Illinois?
Wow, you're really...
Sorry, I'm getting all political. But, what were they going to do with the pig?
They're bamboozling the horns and the swoggles. They're swindling the geese.
I've been goose swindled.
So the hornswoggled person would be the one who was the victim of letting the cat out of the bag. The cat out of the bag was the truth in this case. And the truth was that this person screwed you over.
So it is a secret that was kept, and then letting the cat out of the bag was revealing that secret.
Exactly. That's exactly right. The interesting thing about this is that it's everywhere. There was a source that was really, it seemed the most credible, which was PBS. And it was for a kid's series of animated vignettes, and they are talking about idioms. The series is called Say What? And it's about animal expressions. It said that letting the cat out of the bag first appeared in print around 1350. But here's another interesting thing. Snopes exists to sort of like prove common misconceptions false.
Right. Urban legends.
Snopes says, which made sense. They're like, wait a second. How many times would this have to have happened in order for it to become an idiom?
Yeah.
The other thing they said is, how realistic is it to think that you're going to walk all the way home with a cat in your bag instead of a piglet and not know it? Like, how many times does that have to happen? Like, a cat's going to make some noise. Cat, by the way, what cat is the same size or even shape as a piglet?
Yeah.
So this is what's frustrating to me about it.
Yeah.
Is that there was no, it's like, it was especially frustrating because so many sources said that it was this, and they weren't all copying from each other, clearly. But,
Yeah.
you know, if PBS says that this is it, I tending to go like, okay, well, that's my most reliable source. But then there are enough questions that get raised in the process that make me feel like maybe this didn't come from any of those things.
Yeah, it's a lie. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't have closure here.
I know, me neither. That's what's so frustrating. That
Yeah,
it's kind
sure.
of the very nature of idioms is that it is a thing that doesn't mean what the original thing meant, right? There's a lack of real foundation and truth in some of it. So there's a lot here that is sort of innately difficult to really pin down, which is part of what is fascinating about it, because when you get these two things, very disparate sources, like a Navy ship with a cat of nine tails and then a piglet being traded out for a cat, like, if somebody just told you those two things, you'd be like, you're a crazy person. But then you say, no, those are the two most likely scenarios, you know, by which letting the cat out of the bag evolved.
That's wild. I didn't expect it to go that way.
Yeah.
Did you find anywhere if the Baja men were any way attached to this? Because they're the ones who let the dogs out. Who let the dogs out?
Well, that's the thing. And what did you let the dogs out of?
Maybe that's their follow-up hit? I don't know.
Who let the cats out of the bag?
You're right.
Maybe that was their first attempt. And they were like, something about it just doesn't, it's just not landing right for
Yeah.
me.
You know, somebody's going to bring up the whole piglet thing, and then we're going to go to jail and blah, blah. What about dogs?
Let's just let the dogs out. Out
Yeah.
of what? It doesn't matter. Just
Yeah,
let
in
them
fact,
out.
maybe we didn't even do it. Well, that's the question. We don't know who did it. Let the cat out of the bag is one of the idioms that helped get the ball rolling with Ridiculistics.
Oh my God, for sure.
It was one of the examples I gave of throwing the opposite in, and why isn't the opposite of the thing an idiom? Like, if you keep the cat in the bag, obviously you're not telling anybody the secret ever.
Right. I'm going to put the cat in the bag.
And leave it.
That means I'm keeping the secret. Yeah. Listeners, I implore you, start using,
Keep the cat in the bag. Nobody needs to know about it.
and nobody's going to get hurt.
Right. Yeah. If Sigmund the Sea Monster and Freud would have kept the cat in the bag, they still would have faces today.
I think,
Or
first of all,
I think I got some of that wrong, but you know what I mean. Good.
so as far as cat bag letting out of said bag,
What a letdown.
that's it.
I have another one that's pretty clear cut, and that is rest on your laurels. What it means is to become complacent or stop trying to achieve more because you're relying on your past success for recognition. But the truth is, in most industries in life, that thing won't hold up. It's not going to be a thing forever.
Right.
You can't rest on your laurels.
Laurels in the 15th century was another name for couch. Because that would be,
Don't rest on your couches? Is that what you think it
yeah,
means?
because that would be a thing that you do. You just be like, hey, did it, done, gonna go hang out on the couch for a while,
Yeah, you become a couch potato.
which also was known as a laurels potato. See how this, I think I'm right. I'm right?
That's a great guess.
Yeah.
It's just a bit off. So in ancient Greece and Rome, the victorious athletes and military leaders were given laurel wreaths. So a laurel tree was associated with the victory and honor in ancient times. It was rare enough to be that thing. So when you had leaves that made up a wreath and placed on your head, you were given high honor or known for great achievement. But you shouldn't just rely on that because fame is fleeting, I guess. There are laurels that you could probably rest on, right? Like if you cured cancer, you
That's
could
one.
probably
Yeah.
go down in history for a while.
Yeah.
That's the guy that cured cancer.
Yeah. Resting on your laurels seems like you're staying there for a long time. But if you cured cancer, it would be like stapling your laurels to your ass until you die. Yeah, because you could do that.
Sure.
I'm not just resting on my laurels.
I can't not sit on my laurels. They're stapled to me.
That seems pretty literal, which I can appreciate after coming from what we just did.
It is very straightforward. Everybody knows that high school quarterback. You show up to a class reunion and that guy's like, I was the prom king. But what have you done since?
Yeah.
The world's a lot bigger than high school.
Yeah, it does make me. Didn't you ever get that message where it's like, high school, these days are going to be the best days of your lives? And I remember thinking, what?
I hope not.
God. But yeah, that's a perfect example of it. High school were the glory days, you know?
I wonder if you can rest on your Hardees. Maybe it's an opposite thing where you like don't rest on your Hardees. You rest on your laurels, but you get going on your Hardees.
On your Hardees. Who was the fat one?
I think Hardy. Laurel and Hardy were the original fat guy and skinny dude.
I believe so.
Abbott and Costello just ripped off Laurel and Hardy.
That I'm not sure about.
And then Penn and Teller ripped them off.
Yeah, and then also Siegfried and Roy.
Right, because of the lions.
Yeah. Abbott and Costello, I always found to be really funny. They did like their horror movies.
They did Who's on First. I mean, that's just
funny.
You can't beat that. That's Who's on First is so good.
Yeah. Is there a meaning to rest on your Costellos?
I was just gonna go there. Yeah, I hope so. Can you also rest on your Yannies? By that I mean the internet sensation a few years ago. Do you remember that thing that was like if you look at it and you see a blue dress or a gold dress?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Laurel and Yanny thing was the same thing, right? Do you remember that? It was a sound clip.
No.
Oh, it was this. What do you hear here?
Laurel, laurel.
Laurel.
What do you hear there?
Clearly. Yeah.
You hear Laurel clearly?
Yeah.
Because if you listen hard enough,
If you listen hardy enough.
you can also hear Yanny. Listen.
Laurel, laurel.
No.
So I guarantee some people out there listening to this are going, that says Yanny. It says Yanny.
You know what? Ridiculistics at feedfront.com. Wait, is that it?
Yep. Or just go to the site.
Tell us what you hear, because this is ridiculous. There's no Yanny in that. I thought you were mispronouncing that new age music guy, Yanni.
Oh, right. That's the cello or something? No, that's Yo-Yo Ma. Never mind.
Wow, I think we might have broken a couple laws on that one. Wow.
That's not even close.
There's the headline. From Yanni to Yo-Yo. I love how simple that was. It gives you the information, tells you when it was. It makes sense. You use it in one way. You know?
Yeah.
I like that. That's the way it should be. Fucking letting the cat out of the bag.
I know.
I feel like I let my love of cats sort of cloud my what would have been better judgment on even choosing that one.
There just has to be something else there.
But I think that's the other thing that we're learning here is there's no guarantee that just because it's in such constant use, and we all know what it means now, that it came from someplace clear.
Yeah.
Because that would have been my assumption when we first started this process. Like, the more common it is in our lexicon going back, a while, everybody knows what it means. Well, it must have come from someplace pretty cut and dried,
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't always mean that is pretty fascinating in itself.
So now we're at listener questions, feedback, letters to the editor.
Yeah, we actually got some good feed front through ridiculistics.com. You can hit the contact button and fill out a little form we got there, and it'll send it
Yeah.
right to us.
Yep. So easy.
Tim, I'm afraid to tell you that you had a mispronunciation in the Halloween episode.
Yes.
It was Frank Dobie instead
Yeah.
of Dobie Frank.
I know exactly why I did that, because I was reading a thing that had put it in a formal sort of credit where it was Dobie, comma, J. Frank.
Yes.
And so I mistakenly read it as that.
Dobie can be a first name.
Oh, yeah, like Dobie Gillis.
Yes, that's the only one I can
And-
think of, but yeah, it's
Oh,
one.
yeah, no, Dobie the house elf from Harry Potter.
Was that Dobby? I think that was Dobby. It depends on if you read the
Maybe.
book and mispronounced the names like you do, you know? I always like the hard to pronounce ones or whatever. That has way too many consonants. I'm going to skip that and just remember that's that guy. So every time
Yep.
I read it in the book, I go, and that guy killed whatever.
Yeah, if I had read the books, I probably have done the same thing. But also in terms of defending my Dobie J. Frank reference, and it's Frank Dobie. But at least you know that I was quoting a legit source. You know what I mean?
Thank you to listener No Time for Jibber Jabba for pointing that out.
I'm going to read our letter to the editor, which is very
Yeah.
exciting. This came in from Jonathan Ehrman, a friend of mine. I've known Jonathan for years through the film music world. I did not expect him to show up as a listener, but Jonathan, cheers and welcome to Ridiculistics. He says, "Hi, Tim, it's Jonathan. I carefully and sometimes not so carefully listened to the first 2 episodes of your podcast. What can I say? I can't unlisten to what I listened to, and I can't unhear the things I heard. I know what lipstick on a pig is, but what about Ridiculipstick on a pig? That's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculipstick on a pig.
Or just that somebody has ridiculips.
I need to go to Sephora to get my favorite kind of lipstick. What is it? Oh, this one's called Ridiculipstick." Jonathan continues on. He says, "My biggest comfort right now is that it looks like there's a little breather." You thought so. "Before the next episode comes out, and I can only hope that it gives my brain enough time to shrivel back to its normal size before being inflamed again. And don't give me that innocent look. When you're talking about Sixtus, you don't get to plead the fifth." Well played, Jonathan. That was,
my gosh. That's loaded.
well, thank you, Jonathan, for that letter. There are some things that weren't really qualitative in the way you described them, like I can't unlisten, I
Yeah.
can't unhear.
Yeah.
Also, even lipstick on a pig, which is a separate joke to itself, I'm assuming, and it's not like you think that our podcast is a pig that needs lipstick. Then also you talk about having enough time for your brain to shrivel back to its normal size, which would have been great because I thought, oh, that means that we made your brain bigger. But in fact, you said it was being inflamed. I'm going to take that all as good.
I got like 3 or 4 idioms out of your letter that are going on the list, and they will be talked about at a future date.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what this thing is, though. I think I do feel like we're growing a little bit of a community based on this stuff because people are like, oh, do this one. What about this one? And that's great. That's awesome. I like it. Keep it up. Keep them coming.
For sure. And you know how to keep them coming, right? Instagram and Threads and all those things, YouTube, everywhere you can get podcasts, your grocer's freezer, I think we're in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, check it.
Aren't we also, we're doing, we have a carrier pigeon, don't we, as a means of communication now?
Sure.
Which you can reach our carrier pigeon at www.ridiculistics.com/pigeon.gov.
That's it.
And with that, I think it's time to say goodbye, just like at the end of the old Donnie and Marie show. So good night, good luck, good things, and we're signing off. This is Tim.
This is Donnie and Marie. No, this is Joe. Goodbye.
Goodbye. This was Ridiculistics, the Ridiculistics podcast.
Ridiculipstick. We definitely should sell that stuff.